ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। So now we have come to the penultimate chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 17th chapter. And this chapter is as a result of what Bhagwan Krishna explained in the last verse of the 16th chapter, in which Bhagwan said, Tat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Akarya Vyavasthito Nyatva Shastra Vidhina Uktam Karma Kartum Iha Arhasi. So what this means is that, see Arjuna, what you have to do, what you should not do, what should be one's lifestyle, what should be dharma, what should be adharma, what should your action be based on, all these things are explained in the Shastra or in the Vedas. And therefore, whatever you are doing, you see that you do the right thing by taking the valid proof or pramana from the Shastra. So this is what with which we ended the 16th chapter, which Bhagwan ended the 16th chapter. Now, Arjuna gets a doubt, which he asks in the form of a pariprashna in the 17th chapter. Now, the 17th chapter is called as Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. What is the meaning of Shraddha? I will tell you what the meaning of Shraddha is, in the next few minutes. But this is called Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga based on what Arjuna's doubt was. Now, Lord Krishna has said that in times of doubt, you please refer to the Shastra as to what is the right conduct, what is the right way of living. But then Arjuna wants to know that, he says that, see, many times, we may not be aware of the Shastra. Some people are not aware of what Shastra is. They are literally, we can call them as Veda or Shastra illiterate. But then they are leading a proper lifestyle. They are doing their Vaidika karmas properly, their Smarta karmas, Shrauta karmas properly, not because they are guided by the Shastra, but because as a tradition, certain things have been followed in the family. And Vriddha Vyavahara, Shishta Vyavahara. Vriddha Vyavahara means traditionally certain things have come about in families where in a certain way a certain puja has to be done, in a certain way a certain danam has to be given, in a certain way certain things, a conduct of life is what to be done, what is not to be done, what is dharma, what is the dharma iti. Right from our childhood we have been brought up with a particular, say you call it culture, you call it, in Shastra language, it is called as Vriddha Vyavahara. Vriddha means the elders in the family have done this in this situation, and therefore I will also do like this. Or Shishta Vyavahara, like all the well known people who are Shastrajnas, who know the Shastra, they are following this particular thing as a conduct of life, and therefore let me do this. So, in such a way that they may not be directly referring to the Shastra, but they are doing whatever needs to be done, not because they are following the Shastra, but because of all these things. In such a case, does it mean, Lord Krishna, hey Krishna, does it mean that they are doing a wrong thing? And if they are doing this, following a traditional way of upbringing by Vriddha Vyavahara and Shishta Vyavahara, by the so called family values, so called family samskaras, which we have all been instilled by our elders, then what is their kind of Shraddha that is there? Or what is it? Where do they come from? This is the question Arjuna is going to ask in the first verse of the 17th chapter, because of which this name of this chapter is Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Now, let us first understand what is the meaning of Shraddha. We have seen this word very, very frequently in Bhagavad Gita. What is Shraddha? Very loosely, in English, it is translated as faith or trust. But you see, there are certain words in our Shastra for which no adequate English translation is possible. And in most of the Indian languages, they are presented exactly in the same word. Like in Hindi, it is called Shraddha. In Kannada, it is called Shraddha. In Tamil, it is called Shraddha. In most of the Indian languages, the word Shraddha is used as Shraddha because there is no other translation for that. So in English, when we say Shraddha means it is faith or it is trust. That is not the correct translation. It is a kind of an okay. I mean, but then Shraddha does not mean only faith. Shraddha is something which is much more than faith, much more than trust. What is the meaning of Shraddha then? Shraddha is how, what is my attitude towards my own body, mind, sense complex? What is my attitude towards the other people in the society? What is my attitude towards, the members of the family? Where do I come from? What are my values? How do I look upon things around me? How do I respond to things around me? All these things come together in what is called as a disposition of a person, in the way he responds to the entire universe, a response with the jagat for whatever vyavahara. This particular kind of where I come from and how I respond to myself and to the people around. This can be called as Shraddha. Shraddha also means a kind of a deep trust or faith in what is to come, what is to happen. So, here in this chapter, what is the meaning of Shraddha that Bhagwan is taking? Or what is the meaning with which Arjuna is asking this question as to what is the Shraddha from which these people come? Here, Shraddha means your whole activity level, your whole way of really responding to yourself and to the entire Jagat, where you come from, what is your disposition. This whole thing is called as Shraddha. And therefore, there is no one word which can describe this Shraddha. It's ultimately what I am, how I respond, where I come from, and what are my value systems. The whole me, the whole me is my disposition, which is called as Shraddha. Now, in this, the first question that is asked by Arjuna, as I mentioned, is because he gets this doubt that many people are not exposed to the Shastra, either to the Shrauta karmas or to the Smarta karmas. Yes, the Vaidikas may be exposed to that. There are Vaidikas who know what is said in the Shastra, what is to be done, what is not to be done. But majority of the people may not have an access to the Shastra, or they may be totally illiterate about the Shastra, but then still they are coming from a kind of a Shraddha in whatever they are doing. So it's some kind of a trust and faith in what they have been brought up with as values. So here, what is this Shraddha with which people are driven? That is the question which Arjuna is asking here. And he says in the first verse, Arjuna Uvacha Ye Shastra Vidhimutsrijya Yajante Shraddhayanvitaha Tesham Nishtha Ka Krishna Satvamaho Rajastamaha. Hey Krishna, now Ye, these people, Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya, they may not be following the Shastra. They may not know how to do a certain puja, a certain kind of a worship, or how a particular festival has to be, done. They might not have read the Puranas, they might not have read the Smritis in a certain situation, how to behave, how to conduct, how I should go about in this. I maybe how a Shraddha should be done or how an Upanayam should be done. I may not know. We just depend upon what, has come by. So, such people, Shastra Mutsrujya, they may not follow everything as the Shastra says. They do not have any access. They don't follow what is the tenets of the Vedas or Shastras. Shastra Vidhim Utsrujya. The Vidhi in the Shastra is not followed by them. But at the same time, Yajante, they follow all the pujas and the worship and whatever needs to be done. And they follow a lifestyle of what is supposed to be done or expected out of them. Out of what? Shraddhaya Anvitaha. Those who are pushed by Shraddha. Yes, we have to do this. This is the way we have to live our lives. This is what I have to do in the morning when I get up. This is the puja that I have to do. This is the way I have to do my japa. This is the way I have to give dana. In special situations like this is what I have to do. At the time of Pitru puja, I have to do the Shraddha like this. This is the way I have to read. All these things are there, but they have not followed what the Shastra is telling. At the same time, they're doing it with all Shraddha. In the sense, they're coming from that kind of a trust and faith in what is to be done, and they're doing it with Shraddha. In such a case, Tesham Nishtatuka Krishna, where do they come from? If they're not coming from Shastra, hey Krishna, where are these people coming from? Where do they stand? Are they Satvika people who are not following the Shastra but doing what is to be done, what needs to be done? Are they Rajasic people or are they Tamasic people? Is it Sattvam, Aho, Rajas, Tamaha? Hey Krishna, is it called a Sattva propelled Shraddha or a Rajas propelled Shraddha or a Tamas propelled Shraddha? What kind of a Shraddha is it? How do you place them? What do we call such people? Don't we find this kind, in ourselves? We find that, and we know it seems it is told in the Shastras like this. Our elders have told us like this, and this is what we are going to do. This is how we are going to do the puja. This is how we are. Yes, that. So, what kind of a Shraddha is this? And for that, now Bhagwan answers Arjuna's question. In the second verse, he says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Trivida Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Svabhavaja Satviki Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu. Hey Arjuna, as you rightly asked in your question, is this Shraddha called a Satviki Shraddha, Rajasi Shraddha, or a Tamasi Shraddha? Yes, there are three kinds. Trividha Bhavati Shraddha. From where these people come, the disposition of these people can be divided into three types. And they depend upon what? Dehinam Sa Shraddha Swabhavaja. This Shraddha as to where a particular individual comes from. it depends upon a particular person's svabhava. Now, what is the meaning of svabhava? We have already seen in the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. All of us, every human jiva, we are not talking about the other animals, all the jivas are a mixture of sattva, raja, tamo gunas, especially the human jivas. We are seeing that we are a mixture, a combination of sattva, rajas, and tamo gunas. But then, depending on whichever guna is more predominant, the swabhava of such a person is determined. A person who has sattva pradhana orientation is called as a sattvika purusha, which was described in the third chapter, which was described in the 14th chapter also. A person who is more rajoguna pradhana, activity oriented, the one who keeps moving here and there, more active, more activity oriented, rajoguna pradhana. Sattva guna pradhana, we have already seen in the 14th chapter. They are more of, people who are given to learning, those people who are given to understanding, and where they are able to really yajanam, yajanam, adhyayanam, adhyapanam. So these are all the sattvika oriented people. That is a swabhava, where a person is, we have seen what is the swabhava of a basically sattvic person. I'm not going to repeat that. We have to go back to the 14th chapter. Rajoguna, tamoguna pradhana individuals. Depending upon this, we say he is basically of a sattvika swabhava. Why? Because a person is more sattvika guna pradhana. Similarly, rajoguna pradhana, tamoguna pradhana, that becomes the swabhava of the person. A person who is basically silent, quiet, wants to be by himself, more interested in learning. I know we say such a person is a sattvic person. A person who's very active, who's running around here and there, very, very talkative, wanting always to involve in something or the other. Oh, he's a very Rajoguna Pradhana individual. Whereas a person who's given to sloth, not interested in doing anything, knowing anything, very, very inert, inertia, everything, every people have to push him towards doing anything, procrastinating. Such a person is called as a tamasi swabhava individual. So the sattva, raja, and tamo guna pradhanataya, the swabhavas of these individuals are determined, and every person shraddha. Shraddha means this whole individual, where I come from, what is my attitude towards everything, what is the way in which I look upon everything, how I think, what is my way of looking at things. This whole me, this whole combination of where I come from, this entire me together is what is called as Shraddha. And hey Arjuna, this Shraddha is of three types and it depends upon basically whatever is the swabhava of the individual. A person who has a basically a predominantly sattva oriented intellect or mind, such a person has a sattviki shraddha. A person who has got more of a rajoguna pradhana mind or antakaranam, such a person's shraddha is called as rajasi shraddha. And a person who is more of a tamoguna pradhana antakaranam, such a person comes from, does he come from? Such a person comes from tamasi shraddha. Therefore, sattviki, rajasi, chaiva tamasi, cheti tam shruno. Now, this question you have asked, I have answered this question, but again, listen to me. I'm going to give you some more details about what this Satviki, Rajasi, and Tamasi Shraddhas are. And in the third verse, Bhagwan says, Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purushaha yo yat shraddhasa eva saha. Here itself he says, see, Shraddha mayo ayam purushaha. Shraddha is not one particular aspect, it is a whole character of a person. Shraddha maya ayam purushaha. Looking at the way the person is, the way the person behaves, the way the person talks, the way he interacts, the way he responds, where he comes from, he or she, Just with that, we can say, what is this Shraddha that this person has? Shraddha Mayo Ayam Purushaha. Shraddha Maya. The whole person is Maya, means he is a Shraddha Maya Purushaha. And he may be a Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic oriented Shraddha. Sattviki Shraddha Maya, Rajasi Shraddhamaya Purusha or Tamasi Shraddhamaya Purusha, and depends upon what? Sattvanurupa. Here Sattva means the Antakaranam, not Sattva Rajas Tamas Gunas here. Sattva Anurupa. That means whatever is predominantly the Swabhava of the Antakarana, based on the predominance of the three gunas, Sattva Anurupa, Swabhava Anurupa, as the mind, the intellect, this antakaranam, whatever it is based on, that swabhava belongs to the intellect, correct? Belongs to the antakarana, not even the intellect. Antakarana, swabhava belongs to the antakarana, not to the body. Therefore, here he says sattvanurupa. Whatever is the swabhava of the antakarana, whether it is a sattvika pradhana antakarana, rajasa pradhana antakarana, और तामस प्रधान अंतकरण सत्वानुरूपा सर्वस्य श्रद्धा भवति. Everywhere, in every person, this Shraddha, whether it is Satviki, Rajasi, or Tamasi Shraddha, depends upon, is based upon the Antakaranam, the Swabhava of the individual. Now, what he says is, with this, probably Bhagwan could have stopped because Arjuna's question was that much only. What is this Shraddha? But Bhagwan doesn't want to stop here. See, because there is a very interesting thing in our Shastra which we have to know. When a specific question is asked in our Shastra, a specific answer is given. But this question which Arjuna is asking is a general question. If you see, what kind of a Shraddha is this, Krishna? Those who do not follow the Shastra, but still who are involved in living a good lifestyle according to Dharma, what is this particular Shraddha? This is a very general question a person, Arjuna is asking. Why? Again, when we take here the Shraddha, we have to understand one thing, that whatever I do, you know, I do it, I do this karma based on dharma and adharma. A sattvic person is a person who thinks of dharma and adharma in any of the action he does. Even a Rajasic Purusha may think of that, but he is little brash and rash in action. Whereas a Tamasa Purusha, a Tamasa Tamas Tamo Pradhana Antakaranam, may not even think of dharma and karma. When you say that Shraddha, in this Shraddha, it is integrated. The law of dharma and the law of karma is integrated in Shraddha, in the Shraddha of a person. You can see that. Are they different? Is law of dharma different? Is law of karma different from law of dharma? No. Law of dharma and law of karma are one and the same, but when you look at them from two aspects, when I have a choice in action, when I choose the right action based on my sattvika antakaranam, that is dharma I am choosing. As a Rajasic or Tamasic Antakaranam, when I don't choose Dharma and when I'm not bothered about whether I am doing the action which is falling within Dharma or Adharma, now I'm not much bothered about the law of Dharma. But in every individual, we have a choice. We have been given a free will to do kartumva, akartumva, anyatha kartumva. We have a choice. And it is our Shraddha which determines whether we choose an action within the tenets of Dharma or not. Therefore, it is the law of Dharma where I have a choice in my actions. Law of karma is Ishvara's law where once I have chosen a particular course of action and executed that action, I have no further choice in what phala I am going to get. That is law of karma. So both law of dharma and law of karma are one and the same. They are Ishvara's laws. And with what kind, from where I come, and what kind of a Shraddha I have, that determines my choice of action. That is why I said, that is why Bhagwan says, Shraddha is not merely faith, it is the entire individual. How an individual acts, what are his choices? Are the choices of the individual falling within the law of dharma? And does this person recognize, or does this person respect the law of karma and chooses his action? Does he have any kind of a shraddha in the law of dharma and law of karma? This is what is called as Shraddha. So, Shraddha is a very loaded word. It's not one word where we can just translate and say Shraddha means faith. No, it's a very, very loaded word. It's my whole personality and where I come from. What is my, you know, the what is my take on the law of dharma and law of karma? All this is called as Shraddha, and it shows in what I do, what kind of a puja I do, what kind of devatas, I invoke, how I live my life, what kind of actions I do. My Shraddha reveals in all that I do. And Bhagwan could have stopped with the third verse, but he decides to continue. And what does he say in the fourth verse? He says, Yajante satvika devan yaksharakshansi rajasaha प्रेतान् भूतगणांश्चान्ये yajante tamasa janaha. We have already seen this earlier also, that depending upon my predominant nature, if I'm a sattvika predominant antakarana, the deities which I choose for my puja or for my worship are the devas. Devas means like, devas like, natural functionaries. They may be like Agni, Vayu, Indra, or it may be other devatas, Pauranic devatas like my Ishta devatas like Rama or Krishna, Itihasa, Pauranika, that may be. But anyway, they are Sattvika devatas. So, Sattvikaha Devan Yajante. Okay, and rakshasansi yaksha rakshansi rajasaha. Yakshas, rakshasas, they are also rajasic kind of devatas. They are beings, who are rajasic type, who many people worship, these rakshasas and yakshas and bhutaganas and other. They do that because they want certain quick results to do certain actions. Sometimes they don't mind doing adharmic actions. So the type of deity we choose for our worship and puja also determines where we come from. Therefore, a sattvika pradhana, antakarana, or a sattviki shraddha person will always choose these kind of devan yajante. Whereas yaksha rakshansi, these kind of beings are chosen for worship and puja by the Rajasic people. Pretan, Bhutaganan, Pretas, those who have died and those who are called as Pretas, like we have seen all these, invoking all kinds of spirits for doing different kinds of vamacharyas and different kind of black magic and other things, invoking certain type of lower deities, certain kind of kshudra devatas, pretaganas and all these are the tamasic people, and they are doing it basically for what? To attain what they want by destroying others. So, Arjuna, the way of worship, the type of deities you choose for your worship also determine your Shraddha. And next, if you are choosing the deities for your worship, what kind of worship do you do? That also determines. So when you do a worship, when you're doing a puja, there are three things involved, correct? One is the deity which I'm choosing for my puja or for my worship. Secondly, the methodology or the method in which I worship this particular devata. Thirdly, for what purpose I do that, for what purpose I'm doing this kind of a worship or puja. What is my sankalpa? For what purpose? For what phalam am I doing this? These three things are involved. So that is what is going to be talked about by Krishna in the next two verses, in the fifth and sixth verse. So he says in the fifth verse, ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapo janaha दम्भाहङ्कारसंयुक्ताः kamaraga balanvitaha. So how do they do this worship? He says, ashastra vihitam ghoram, tamasa pravritti or tamasa shraddha people, tamasi shraddhanvitaha. What do? They ashastra vihitam. They have their own shastra. Nowhere it is told that it should be done like this. It is not coming from Vradha Vyavahara, not coming from Shishtachara, it is not coming from Shastra, not coming from Puranas or no Shrauta, Smarta Karmas, nothing. But then Ashastra Vihitam, they have their own way of doing certain things. And Ghoram Tapyante, some of these pujas and some of these worships may be very, very Ghora, harming themselves, harming other people also, disturbing themselves, disturbing other people also. These are the tamasi shraddhanvita pujas or worship. Whereas dambha ahankara samyuktaha, dambha ahankara, worship done out of a reason to show off to other people. Oh, look, I am also a very religious person. I am also doing all these kinds of worships and all, like our politicians many times doing all these vratas and yajnas and all that. Basically, just to show off. No shraddha in that, really speaking. But then it is basically to show off dambha, ostentatiousness, to show off, to boast, and ahankara samyukta. Look, I am also doing it. For what purpose are you doing it? No, I'm doing it because I get some kind of an attention out of it. So damba ahankara samyuktaha, and both in this tamasi and rajasi type of worship, what are they driven by? Kama raga balanvitaha. Now kama raga both mean desire. Kama also means desires. Raga also means desire. Then why is Lord Krishna using two words Kama, Raga, Balanvitaha, propelled by strong Kama and Raga? So here, how it is explained is Kama means passion, not a simple desire, a binding desire, a passion which makes me go after something to achieve that or to attain that. That is called as Kama here, which means passion. Raga means a severe longing. Both of them are kama only, desires. A passionate desire for something, even if it means a dharmic way of getting it, even if it means harming myself and harming others, doesn't matter. I am passionate about fulfilling my desire, and I have a severe longing, abhinivesha. Abhinivesha means severe longing and attachment to that, and I have to do it. So, strong kama raga balanvitaha. So, their worship is not out of a desire for a spiritual growth or a desire for the goodness of others. It is not for sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashantu. No, it is meant for I have to attain this, I should do this, for this I am willing to do anything, even if it is adharma. Ghora kind of, worships, and worshipping Yaksha, Rakshansi, and also who? Bhuta, Preta, Ganan, they are willing to do that. And how do they do it? And what is the methodology of doing it? Karshayan, next verse, sixth verse. Karshayanta sharirastham bhutagramamachetasah mam chaivanta sharirastham tan vidyasura nishchayan. So all this raja and tamoguna pradhana shraddha, ultimately their worship leads to what? Karshayantaha sharirastham bhutagramam. They are literally torturing their sense organs and mind. Sharirastham, those bhutagramam, sharirastham bhutagramam, their senses, their sense organs are literally tortured by denying them, like all kinds of fastings, all kinds of tapas, all kinds of doing ghora kind of worship, where, you know, they are not only harming their own bodies, they are harming the sense organs, sharirastham bhutagramam. Not only that, mam cha yeva anta sharirastham. They are troubling me also, the Ishvara, that Ishvara who is within. I'm not asking them for this kind of worship. I'm not asking them to do all these things. They are kama and raga balanvitaha, and they want to attain certain things, very strong passion and driven by strong abhinivesha. They want to get certain things, and they are willing to do any, to go to any extent to literally karshayantam. They torture the sense organs and their own bodies, and they don't understand that by that they're torturing me, who is also mam cha eva sharira, see, sharira antastham, mam sharirantastham, I'm also there. They're troubling me also by doing that. This is not what I have talked about worship, Arjuna. I have told you already in the 7th chapter, in the 10th chapter, what is it? Ekarupa Ishvara Bhakti, Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakti. Even karma yoga, offering things, whatever you do it with that sense of offering to me. Accept whatever comes as my prasada. Phalam pushpam toyam. Okay, patram pushpam phalam toyam. Just offer even one small tulsi leaf or a flower to me. This is what I have been talking about worship. But what are these people with Rajasi and Tamasi Shraddhas doing? They are doing their worship in such a way that they are literally torturing their own bodies, they're torturing their sense organs, and they are torturing me also, who is Antastam. Now, with this also, Bhagwan does not stop. Bhagwan wants to talk more now about the Shraddha, the three types of Shraddhas, how they express in one's daily actions. See, in the Vedika times, in the earlier times, there were four things which formed the lifestyle of a Vedika individual. Of course, of all of us also, but then more so of a Vedika individual, because here Bhagwan is talking about what the Shastra talks about. So, what now Bhagwan wants to talk about is what is the most common thing which is associated in our lifestyles, in our daily living? Food, the food that we eat. Okay, that is aharaha. Yajnaha. Yajnaha means what? Not the fire, big rituals. All the pujas and all the, worship in any form that we do. We need not do them as Agni karmas only. In any form, whatever kind of, Vaidika karmas we do, either in the form of Shravta karmas or Swarta karmas, in whatever form we do, this called as Yajna. Then, in our lifestyle, daily life, we share what we have with others. We share our time with others. We share food with others. Atitihi. With atitis, we share our food. We share all that we have. After having fulfilled our own needs, we share what we have with others for the benefit of those who don't have. Danam. So, Danam is also a part of our daily living. Yajna, Dana, Tapaha. Discipline. Okay, we have discipline, certain discipline. All of us follow certain discipline, because discipline is, it need not be only in the form of a shastric discipline. Even to live and lead our daily lives in a proper way, we need some kind of a discipline. So here Bhagwan Krishna wants to kind of talk about our entire lifestyles from the point of view of these three shraddhas: ahara, yajna, dana, and tapas. If you look at our own lives, everyday lives, these are the four things we have in our lives, correct? Whatever we do, eating, most important. Yajna, our own work, what we do is also yajna, what we are doing. Plus our whatever worship we are doing to deities or whatever our pujas and where we come from, yajna. Dana, every day we are sharing something or the other, we are sharing with the society, with the people around. Tapas, we are following a certain discipline in our lifestyles, whether getting up at a particular time or eating at a particular time or going to work at a particular time, whatever it is, a kind of a discipline at the level of the body, sharira. At the mind of sharira, we have certain disciplines. Exercise we may do, go to a gym or go for a walk. So at the sharira level, we are following some kind of a discipline. At the level of the vak, we are following some kind of a discipline. At the level of the antakarana, we are following some kind of a discipline. Therefore, our entire day to day living, if we take, it is nothing but ahara, yajna, dana, and tapas. The words may look a little strange because Bhagwan is using the Shastric term, but this leads to our entire day to day living. So, in it now, Bhagwan goes out of the way, being a general question asked by Arjuna. Bhagwan wants to go all the way and talk about how individual Shraddha of the three types of Shraddha manifests in one's day to day living also. In my ahara, what kind of ahara does a sattvika person, Shratviki Shraddha person desire? What are the desires regarding food of a Rajasi, person, the Shraddha person? A Tamasi Shraddhanvita, what kind of a food he prefers, means what are his preferences as far as food is concerned, what are the likes, what are the dislikes, what kind of a food he prefers. So this is what is going to be told by Krishna in the next 3 or 4 verses which we can do today. So in the 7th verse, Bhagwan says, आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु. Arjuna, though you ask me from where, from which kind of Shraddha these people who are not following the Shastra but living a very, very dharmic life, a life of trust, a life of Shraddha. What is this Shraddha, you ask me? Now, I want to tell you more about what you have asked. And in this, I want to talk about these three Shraddhas, how they manifest in one's daily life, in daily living. And I'm going to take 4 aspects of one's daily living. Aharastu api sarvasya, regarding the ahara, that the preferences with regards to food, with reference to these three Shraddhas. Trivido bhavati priyaha. Okay, they like, okay, they like certain things. Trividaha priyaha. That means they like certain kinds of food, each one of them. Then yajnaha tapas tatha danam tesham bhedam. In yajnaha, tapaha and jnana, danam also. Yajnaha, tapaha, danam also, which I just explained as a part of our daily living. There also there are 3 bhedas depending upon the 3 types of shraddha they have. Now let us go to the ahara. Here, the 3 types of ahara which are preferred by the 3 types of people with these 3 shraddhas respectively is going to be talked about. So in the 8th verse, Bhagwan says, Ayuh sattva bala rogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha sthira hridya ahara satvika priyaha. The Satvikas, people who come with the Satviki Shraddha, prefer these kind of foods. What are they? Ayuhu, Sattva, Balaha, Arogya, Sukha, Preeti, Vivardhanaha. First line. You can't break that line actually. It is one word actually you can say. So what are these kind of foods that a Satviki Shraddha person prefers? Those foods, Vivardhanaha, those who strengthen, those foods which strengthen what? Ayuhu. They're conducive to the lifespan, to the life. Ayu Vardhana. Okay, Ayur Vardhanaha. Sattva Vardhanaha. Those who are conducive to the growth of one's mind. Here also Sattva means the mind. Then Bala Vivardhanaha. Those who are actually conducive or those who increase the Sharirika Balam, Manasika Balam also. So Ayuhu, lifespan, Sharira Balam and Antakarana Balam, Sattva Balam and Sharira Balam, those which improve, and also Arogyam, those which give health. Okay, Bala, Arogya, Sukha. You feel happy when you eat a sattvic kind of an ahara. You feel very happy. So it is Sukha, Preeti Vivardhana. Sukha and Preeti. You're happy and you're happy with others also. So these are the type of foods which the Satviki Shraddha people prefer. Then what are they? What are these kinds? What are the examples of such food stuff which are Ayuhu, Sattva, Bala, Arogya, Sukha, Preeti, Vivardhana? Rasyaha. They should be nutritious. a balanced diet, a nutritious diet. Snigdhaha, some amount of oil or some amount of fat at least is there in them. They're not absolutely dry like eating, bread every day or hard bread every day. Not like that. So they are snigdhaha. Some amount of fat is there. Sthiraha, those foods which remain in the body in the form of even metals and finer things which are there, which are present in the body in the sthira form as bones. You see, even when a person is burnt, or even when a person after death is, you know, cremated, or whether he's buried, the bones remain for millions of years. The bones remain. What is it? It is that ahara which has been converted into these trace elements and calcium and other things which have gone on to make the body sthira, especially the bone strength, those kind of things which are going to remain forever, keeping the body in its shape. Sthiraha hridyaha, those foods which you are happy to eat, you want to eat them more. Ahara satvika priyaha. These are the aharas preferred by satvikas, satviki shraddha people. Then, what are the choices of food of rajasi shraddha people? कट्वं ललवणात्युष्ण तीक्ष्णरुक्षविदाहिनः आहारा राजसश्रेष्ठा दुःखशोकमदा दुःखशोकामयप्रदाः. So what it means is, here katu, excessively bitter. Okay, here ati is there. Katu, amla, lavana, ati, ushna, tikshna. This ati word has to be applied to all of them, all the words. Ati katu, extremely bitter things. Some people like very, very bitter things, extremely. Ati katu. Amla, ati amla, extremely sour things, very, very, very sour. Some people cannot eat curds which are fresh. They want to keep it for 3 days, 4 days, ferment it, make it very sour and eat. Okay, so amla. Ati lavana, too much of salt. I want to have too much of salt in. Ati ushna, those which cause a lot of things which generate a lot of heat. That's why in our culture, they don't eat onions and garlic. They say onions and garlic are rajoguna tamoguna vivardhas, because they create lot of heat. That is what is said. Even ayurveda, it is said that. But of course we may not probably agree with that now, but then this is what has been said. So ati ushna, Tikshna, ati tikshna, extremely spicy and pungent. More spice, more spice, more spice. Add what is that? All kinds of sauces. Chili sauce and this sauce and that sauce, and this some mustard and this that. So ati tikshna. I can't eat anything without all those additions to that. No natural taste. All the natural taste is completely killed by all these ati, lavana, ati tikshna, ati is thing. And also ruksha, dry, very, very dry food, junk food, dry food, and ruksha vidahinaha, those which literally burn your tongue, vidahinaha. When you're eating that only, you can literally trace your entire gut, from the mouth till the last portion of the gut. You can literally feel and trace where the food is going. So vidahinaha, that which literally burns the digestive system. These are the aharas which are preferred by those who are rajoguna pradhana shraddha, those who are having a rajasi shraddha. And what do they cause? Dukkha shoka amaya pradhaha. Dukkha, naturally dukkha, you don't feel happy eating them. Maybe the Rajasi people will kill, but ultimately it causes shoka. It causes a lot of disturbance in the mind of the person also. These kind of foods, they disturb, because it is said we are what we eat. We have heard that it is true. And what kind of this kind of food only makes us more disturbed? There is dukkha and amaya pradaha. Very soon we'll land up with all kind of gastrointestinal problems, ulcers and this and that. So amaya means disease, disease pradaha. Then what about the tamasa people? Tamasi shraddha people, what is the preference of their diet? He says, Yata yamam gatarasam पूतिः पर्युषितं च यत् उच्छिष्टमपि चामेध्यं भोजनं तामसप्रियम्. What kind of bhojanam is preferred by these tamasa individuals? Yatayamam. If you take literally the meaning of yatayamam, yama means a period of 3 hours. Yatayama means a food which has been prepared more than 3 hours back. But of course, right now it may not be applicable to us because it is not possible for us to make, cook within the 3 hours. We can, many people still do that. It's not that it is not possible. But then what is said is that which is cooked earlier than where 3 hours have already passed after having prepared that food. But Shankaracharya Bhagwan in this bhashya, he says mandapakvam, yatayamam mandapakvam. That means improperly cooked food. Improperly cooked food. That is what he means here by yatayamam. Gatarasam. When you cook the food improperly and keep it for a long time, then it loses all its nutritious value. The rasam is gone. What is rasa? Rasa means the nutrition value. The nutrition that is absorbed by the gut and that which strengthens the entire body mind sense complex, that kind of a rasam is called gata rasam. No rasa and all, at all in that. Dry gata rasam, that which is absolutely not nutritious, that which is stale, and that which is improperly cooked, burnt, or not cooked properly, it is still raw, or mandapakvam, inadequately cooked. Putihi, that which is smelling, which is already kind of putrefied. But then sometimes many people prefer to eat those things which are slightly putrefied. They say it is like like blue cheese. Blue cheese is supposed to be a very famous and favorite of many people, and this putrefied curds which are kept for 7 days 8 days, where it has to literally come out, and that kind of. So putihi means putrefied, putrefying. Paryushitam, that which has been prepared more than a day ago, overnight it has stayed. So there were no refrigerators at that time. There was no way of storing food. So overnight food means it is gone. It is completely gone. There may be so many insects in it, so many other problems might be there. So paryushita means one night has already gone by after having prepared this food. Chayat uchishtam api. Uchishtam. Half of the food I have eaten in my plate, keep that other half covered, and I eat it tomorrow morning. This is what is called as uchishtamapi. Already which has been, eaten, half eaten, but kept and eaten later. It's okay if it is done within a few minutes or half an hour. But then if I keep it night, I've eaten half of it, leave it like that, and next morning I eat it because I've left it. No. Uchishtamapi. Cha amedhyam. Amedhyam means that which should not be actually eaten. Amedhyam, that which is not meant for consumption of humans. Amedhyam, which is given in the Shastra also. What is amedhyam food? That which should not be eaten, that which should not be consumed. But then these tamasic people want to consume such food only. So amedhyam bhojanam, this kind of a bhojanam is tamasa priyam. Okay, here you must understand one thing. The foods are not classified into rajasic, tamasic, or sattvic. It is the preference of a particular person here is showing. This is the preference. Such foods are the preference of a sattvic shraddha person. Such foods are the preference of a rajasi shraddha person. Such foods are the preference of a tamasi shraddha person. Iti, the preference of each kind of a person coming from different shraddhas has been talked about here. Now, ahara is over here. After this now, Bhagavan wants to talk about, what does he want to say? Yajnam, he already said, ahara, yajna, tapa, and danam. These four way of life, daily living, the daily lifestyle of a person he wants to talk about. So these three people's ahara, what is their preference with respect to the ahara that was talked about. Now he talks about what kind of a yajna or worship, or what kind of a Shrauta karma or Smarta karma, or what kind of a karma this particular person prefers. What are the choices of each group of people as far as the worship is concerned? So here he says, अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्यज्ञः विधिदृष्टो स इज्यते यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः समाधाय स सात्विकः. So a satvika shraddha person has a particular way of yajna or worship. And what is the sankalpa, or what is the intention of the worship of a satviki shraddha person? Aphalakankshi bhihi yajnaha. He does this worship or puja aphalakankshi bhihi. That, yes, I do it for my good, that's all. That I want it for this particular thing, this particular thing, this particular thing, iti. He does not have any phala akanksha. And how does he do it? Yashtavyameva iti. This is to be done by me. No, next line. Phalakangshibihi yashtavyameva iti. I don't expect any kind of this result, that is a no sarvarambha parityagi, we said earlier, isn't it? That of course referred to as sthita prajna, but here there is no sankalpa as such. For this purpose I am doing this, for this purpose, this kind of a sankalpa is not there. But what is the reason I am doing this? Yashtavyameva. I have to do it. This is to be done by me. Therefore, without expecting any phala, this particular worship, whether it is Pitru Yajna, whether it is Deva Yajna, whether it is Manushya Yajna, whether it is Bhuta Yajna, whether it is Brahma Yajna, Yashtavyameva, this Pancha Mahayajnas, in whatever way I have to do, I will do it. Not because I expect any result out of it, but it is supposed to be done by me. And then Vidhi Drishtaha, following a proper Vidhi, either told by the Vriddhas or by the Shishtas, or following what the Shastra is telling here, Ijjate Manas Samadhaya, focusing that focusing one's mind on what is to be done properly, without having any undue expectations of karma phala out of this. This is the worship that a satviki shraddha person does. Then what is the shraddha, rajasi shraddha person? What is his way of worship? For what does he do that? He says in the 12th verse, Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambartamapi chaivayat ijjate bharata sreshta tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. Hey Bharata Sreshta Arjuna, may you understand that the very purpose of worship in a Rajasic oriented person is Abhisandhaya tu phalam, for a particular phalam only. And most of the time, that phalam is what kind of phalam? For me, for my sake, for my good. That's it. Abhisandhaya tu phalam, dambhartam api. We already saw that in the 4th verse, where he said, for damba, for show off, just to say that, yeah, I want this result, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it on a grand scale, calling so many people will see what I'm doing. Dambhartam, show off. Dambhartam vipi chaiva yat ijjate tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. That is the rajasam yajna. And if this is there, what is tamasa yajna? In the 13th verse, we'll complete this because the yajna portion also will be completed here. So, विधिहीनम् असृष्टान्नं मन्त्रहीनम् अदक्षिणम् श्रद्धाविरहितं यज्ञं तामसं परिचक्षते. A person of a tamasi shraddha, what kind of a worship is his? Vidhihinam. There is absolutely no vidhi at all. However I want to do it, I'll do it. Then asrishta annam. He will never feed anybody in any of these our worships. Feeding somebody is a very important part of it. Now, this person does the karma but does not feel the need to feed anybody. That means this feeding, calling an atiti, inviting and feeding on the occasion of that particular whatever karma I am doing, that is not there. So, vidhihinam asrishtanam, no feeding of people goes on there. Mantrahinam. Mantrahinam means what? There is no swara in the mantra, or there is no varna in the mantra, no proper akshara in the mantra. What that person is chanting, mumbo jumbo, nobody understand what that person is chanting, where one should break, where the sandhi should be broken. No missing. Mantra hani, varna hani, swara hani, all kinds of hanis. But still, something, a particular channel. Many times we see that in the temples when you're doing this archana and abhisheka and all that. It is so disheartening to hear these people chanting these mantras in such a way that there is no swara, no swarahina, mantrahina, this swarahani is there, varnahani is there, and also everything, there's nothing at all there, aksharahani, everything. So that kind of a thing, there's nothing, just because I have to chant some mantra, it is chanted with absolutely mantrahinam, adakshinam, no sharing, no dakshina is given, no offering is done to people, because a yajna, a worship is meant to offer. That is even a small thing like everyday an agnihotra karma, or even our daily puja, we distribute some prasada, isn't it? We do some puja in our house. Whatever little prasada as we have given for kept for naivedya, we just share it with other people. We give it to other people also. Oh, this is that prasada for today. It is not there. Shraddha virahitam. There is no shraddha in either the shastra. There is no shraddha in anybody who is a knower of shastra. There is no shraddha in the vradha vyavahara, no shraddha in the shishta vyavahara, but simply done for the sake of, at least a rajasic person has got some way of doing it for achieving his own goals. This person is basically doing these things without any vidhi, without any kind of a proper guidance, without even proper mantras. And for what does he do? He does it mostly for the sake of achieving his own goals, and at the same time for harming other people. It may be in the form of Vamachara also, or it may be in the form of whatever it is to harm other people. So, such a yajna, such a worship, and whom do they worship? Bhutaganas, Pretaganas, they worship. Correct? So, such kind of a person, such kind of a worship is preferred by tamasic Shraddha people. Tamasi Shraddhaya Apetaha, they prefer this kind of a yajna. So with this, we'll stop here. Next time, we'll take up to Dana and Tapa, what Bhagwan wants to say about the three types, preferences of these three types of individuals towards what kind of a tapas, what kind of a dana, that we'll take up next time. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुस्सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।